We kick off with a round of... Yeah, that. Seems that previously Mariner had beaten these two, so they've been secretly training to try to catch her by surprise. Well, Mariner responds to glee to that fact and proceeds to beat and stab them in a way that hasn't made me this uncomfortable since Boimler's naked body was being violated by a spider's mouth in the first episode. After the titles, we encounter two Danubulans debating Ractigino being too strong and coffee being too weak, when an ape with a horn shows up. It's the Mugato.
Poisonous, carnivorous, strength of 10 men? Sounds like my ex.
Hey, watch what you say. It's venomous, not poisonous. Mariner swings by after the complaint about needing to track the Mugatu comes down. She's pretty much undoing all the goodwill she'd built up, and really, it's disappointing. You were doing so well.
Not surprised you fellas need a drink after talking with that powder keg friend of yours.
Or is there a method to this episode's madness? The bartender asserts that she's really Black Ops, built to be the perfect weapon.
Programmed to protect herself at all costs.
I don't know, how perfect a weapon can she be if she needs to practice not stabbing herself? They're pretty dismissive of this guy, and justifiably so. He's a complete nut, a conspiracy freak weirdo. And I mean as in real weirdo vibes, like he thinks ancient astronauts visited Earth thousands of years ago and taught the Greeks how to be gay or something. Meanwhile, Tendi gets bumped from treating her own patient by a lieutenant who's so assertive this is either a relative or he has drugs hidden inside she needs to get out. Instead of treating him, though, Dr. Ta'ana gives Tendi a list of patients who have been skipping getting their physicals. Get their asses scanned and get it into the database. So while she excitedly heads off to fulfill this assignment, Rutherford notes something weird happened with Mariner on the Atlantis. 100 people gone, just like that. Mariner pops in to set them all at ease, though, after that. Well, time for the mission.
You all got the briefing. No weapons. These Mugatus are endangered, and their genitals are sensitive to phaser fire.
Well, just aim higher, then. If you're wondering if this return figure really is Shaxx...
Mugato dung. Fresh. Tangy.
It's him. On balance, I'll take copperphage humor over slapstick that's really more stabstick. Well, what do we come across but an illegal Mugato farm, where they are harvesting them for their horns? Shaxx heads down to confront them, but these are tough guy Ferengi, with the whips, but not with the cringing ape-man vibe. The energy from the whip hits the controls, and Ferengi don't go in for the redundant cage doors, not when they can go for box just keep it plugged in dummy series. Boimler and Rutherford see Mariner stab Shaxx and bite at the wound, so they naturally run away. As does the guy by Mugatu horns, only he's shifty and annoying, so the Cerritos grabs his ship in a tractor beam, only for it to be torn apart then.
My whole life was on that ship. What have you done?
All he wanted to do was snort powdered endangered species horn, you monsters. On the planet, the fleeing pair are nearly caught by an angry Mugato, but Patengi, the renowned biologist, pulls them into cover. He's going to help. Thanks for helping. They try to escape only to run into a pair that begin mating, who are really active with that too. Apparently this also involves some cuckolding, as the emergence of a third one indicates. Speaking of needing a quick change of the subject, Tendi is hard at work getting scans off of everybody. No asking, just scanning. All except for one unnamed patient. Well, we'll have to put that on standby. Right now, Boimler and Rutherford slip away, only to run into Mariner, who gets caught in a Mugato trap. It's time for the airing of grievances. Mariner finally admits the Black Ops rumor. There's a reason for it. It's because she started it. For reasons which I think she still thinks are valid, so that doesn't take crazy off the table, I gotta say. But as you probably thought, she was sucking the venom out of Shaxx's wound from a Mugato, not trying to eat him. Although I should note technically it wouldn't make her a cannibal even if she had been. Just saying. Back on the Cerritos, Tendi and Dr. Ta'ana look over the list and see the one holdout, which Ta'ana says, it's close enough. But Tendi pieces together the truth. Dr. Ta'ana herself is the last holdout.
Picked you for this job. I was counting on you to give up.
Well, maybe the old Tindy was a pushover, but a lot's changed since slightly earlier today.
Well, the hunt is on now, but first, we should return to Boimler. He and Rutherford are the last members of the team who haven't been captured yet, and so are going to have to break them out. And by break them out, I mean offer up a business plan to the Ferengi that would turn this from an illegal Mugato farm into a legal Mugato preserve that will increase profits substantially. And Tendi breaks her own arm to bring Dr. Ta'ana in to scan her, so her plot's resolved too. Oh, and the dipshit horn snorter was pulling a scam. His ship was rigged to blow up if he was caught, so he gets his hash sorted out too. After last time when I mentioned that it was good except for the self-referential overload, I was hoping that I could be even more positive this time about it, because I like Lower Decks, I really do. But first, this really started off on the wrong foot. Comedy is subjective. Earlier this week I posted SG-1's Window of Opportunity, in which we eventually find out that every time the time loop started over again, Tilk got hit in the face with a door. I find that funny, and it's not even really slapstick. It's just the idea of him trapped in an endless cycle of something that's more embarrassing than painful. Using physical injury to create comedy, there's plenty of ways to make that work. Having your naked body violated is not one of them. A psychopath kicking the shit out of two people isn't either. I'm very disappointed at this step backwards. Yes, there's a great inside joke about the Mugatu's name in this, and I'm not even bothered by the lowbrow humor of the episode. I mean, I can even get into the spirit of the rubbing the old horn bit, but those also had to overwrite the jokes when less would have been more. I mean, yeah, throwing stones in your glass house, but nevertheless. I still enjoyed this, especially Tendy's far too brief B-plot. Maybe the show's success is starting to make me expect more from it than it can give, but I'm going to try to be optimistic for next time to not have any reservations whatsoever. We'll see what happens.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
Mugatu venom can have latent effects, so I'll need to check on you later. In your quarters.